Hi, welcome to Live from the Library. I'm Laura Heywood and I'm upstairs at the Public Theater. If you don't know, the library is actually a bar and restaurant where people gather before and after seeing theaters at the legendary Public Theater. And we're here before the place officially opens. I'm with Rebecca Naomi Jones, who's currently starring here at the Public in a brilliant new play called Fire in Dreamland that takes place in 2013, mostly in and around Coney Island. Thank you, Rebecca, for coming and popping into the library.
Thanks for
with
having me.
For people who have not had a chance to see Fire in Dreamland yet, can you give a couple of sentences of synopsis?
Sure. The play, sort of at its base level plot situation, is about a woman who has been through a bit of a devastation with losing a parent, and we meet her at the beginning of the play, still in mourning after 8 years of being without her father, and she's still working through that and working through being in a career that she's not very turned on by, and living in an area in which she doesn't have any friends or family. And I think she's in a place of real devastation in her life, and she meets this charming foreign guy, handsome seductive man who is an artist and who is making this film about Coney Island, this place that she has recently moved to, and it's about a real life fire that happened in 1911 at Dreamland, which was one of the major amusement parks in Coney Island back then, and this huge fire that happened then, and what happened is quite devastating for the animals in the circus. And this movie that he basically tells her the first night that they meet about that he's making does something to her at the core. It really it ignites a fire in her, and I mean I don't know if I'm giving too much of this play away, but I think it's a play about something awakening in a woman. Something that she needs, and I think ultimately the play is about finding that fire within yourself and what you do with that, and being able to grow out of something that wasn't necessarily the healthiest relationship for you, but ultimately learning to make it through a devastating time in your life and become the hero of your own story.
I mean, don't we all need that in our life right now?
We do.
Yeah, totally.
We do.
It takes place also in the backdrop of the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy,
Yes.
Which was devastating all up and down the coast. And there's a beautiful parallel drawn throughout the show of the disaster that happened right here on this Coney Island boardwalk in 1911 and the disaster that happened in 2013.
Exactly.
Do you remember where you were during Hurricane Sandy, and do you bring any of that to your understanding of the role?
Yeah, I believe I was, I believe I was in Brooklyn with an ex-boyfriend on in his apartment in Williamsburg, and just it's funny taking it all in and being somewhat close to it and still feeling so far away from it,
Mm-hmm.
and being aware of all of this devastation that was happening for these people, and not really knowing what I should do to help. And it's funny that you brought that up. It's yeah, I think my parents were, I think they were being told to, leave their apartment, but they didn't. I don't know.
Well, I see that this character, she's just gone through a personal tragedy, and she is standing on this boardwalk that, you know, surrounded by this devastation of the hurricane, and she doesn't really know how to find strength in herself to deal with her own stuff, much less this greater tragedy that's happening around her.
That's exactly right.
And then this man comes along who basically provides an avenue for her to do something, anything.
Yeah.
And that's part of his seduction. It's not just that he's like a handsome man who comes along.
That's exactly right.
I saw this helplessness in your character,
Mm-hmm.
and was really drawn in by the idea that she took the opportunity that was offered to her, and as a way to escape and sort of heal herself as well as the ravaged world around her.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. 'Cause she's in this place of feeling like she's doing something that is part of the solution, but knowing at her core that it's not really the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. She's not quite unlocked the thing that she's supposed to do.
Yeah. It's almost like anybody could have come up to her at that moment and been like, "I need you," and she would have been like, "Thank God."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I think she needs to be needed
Mm-hmm.
and to be, to find the way that she's going to be of service. Yeah.
I want to remind everybody watching, because this is live, you can actually submit questions through Facebook Live. Again, I'm Laura Heywood, and this is Rebecca Naomi Jones. We're talking about Fire in Dreamland, and we're also talking about the public theater in general, which I believe is maybe New York's most important arts institution. And Rebecca, I know that you have returned to the public again and again, Passing Strange and Fortress of Solitude, at Shakespeare in the Park,
Yep.
Love's Labour's Lost.
Yeah, and As You Like It for
right.
Public Works last year.
And now, so this is at least your 5th production related to the public.
Yeah.
What is it about this place that continues to bring you back?
I think it's a couple of things. One of them being that, in this career that I'm in, which is ridiculous and truly insane, there is so much floating, and there's so much of a feeling of not belonging somewhere, which can be great. I mean, that's the freelance life. Is like, now I set up camp here and I do my thing here, and now I pick up all my stuff and I go to the next spot. And there is something about working at the public that feels like once you're here, there is always a place for you here. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, I mean, I've worked here since 2007, although I guess I had done readings and things here even before that, but I feel like every time I come back, I feel like I have a place here, and that is really special. It feels almost like, even though I'm not on salary, it feels like I am, part of this institution, which is very special. And also, I just think, obviously, the public has a history of doing such amazing, unique, searching work. I feel like this place always is producing plays that are different from each other and make you question things and highlight all kinds of diversity in people and playwrights, and it's a good place to be a part of.
I know you grew up not too far from here. Were you aware of the public when you were growing up?
I think I only became aware of the public maybe in high school, middle school or high school.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I didn't do as much Broadway as you would think as a kid. I mean, I definitely remember going to see Chorus Line.
You didn't see it at the public, did you?
No.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that would be amazing. No, I think I saw it on Broadway when I was really little.
So that was in a way your introduction to the public. I
Yeah.
mean, the chorus line would not exist without this place.
Exactly. And Hair too.
Did you see that?
No, I wish.
Oh,
you mean
no, that was
before
your time, I guess. Yeah.
But I saw the Diane Paulus one. It was cute.
Did you hear that it's Diane Paulus is directing Hair for television?
Badass.
I mean, it's like the public's influence on the world is getting bigger and
Yep.
bigger and bigger. Although I'm not sure it could get bigger than like what Hamilton.
Correct.
What's happened with Hamilton.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, it is great to be to have a home at a place like this that will, be both identified with shows like Chorus Line and Hair and Hamilton, but also take a risk on a new, small, very intimate work like Fire in Dreamland. While simultaneously, having this mobile unit that goes to all corners of the boroughs, bringing theater to the people. And then Public Works, which has, do you know that there's over 70 people on stage every night at the Delacorte and 12th night? And they have 2 rotating casts, so it's like 150 total people. And that's bringing people from the boroughs to actually be on the stage. And
that's, to me, like the most incredible thing about the public, especially in these last couple of years, is like it just feels like the mission statement is really being brought to life. I mean, it's so exciting to me that there can be a theater that produces mega hits like Hamilton, and then we'll do a quiet personal play, and then we'll really get community at large involved. Like Public Works or like the mobile unit. It's really cool to me.
The other thing I think a lot of people might not know is that the public, like the name is very, like they take the idea of being a theater for all really seriously, and the space that actually this building used to be, it was like, I think New York City's first public library building, although I'm not positive, which is why the bar is called the library. But there are all of these public spaces, and I will often come here when I'm between events and just sit and write or read, and it's so welcoming. It's not like a little box office and a little lobby. It's just this grand space, really, that's inviting to all. We got a question from one of our online viewers. You've regularly performed in original works by extraordinary writing talent. They mentioned Stu and Michael Friedman as a couple of the examples. How do you curate your relationships, and what emerging voices should be on our radar right now?
Ooh.
So 2 separate questions.
Yes. I mean, I cultivate my relationships by showing up and paying attention and listening to people in the creative process, and being open to people and open-minded, and honestly just being a nice person, which doesn't feel like work, of course, but I just feel like that is what makes the process of creating art and creating theater specifically the easiest and the most pleasurable, because it's hard to make art, and it's hard to create something, especially something like a musical or a play, a new musical or new play. And it's a tricky process, and I just think it always works better when everyone feels respected and communicated to and listened to, and like it can be a collaboration. And I think I've just been really lucky too to be in rooms with people who understand that. I will say the creative process of working on Passing Strange was so crazy because Stu and Heidi had never done a musical before, and so for them it was like they'd been in bands before, so it was like we would all just sit around the room and sort of like learn the music sort of like at the table, Heidi would just like play something and sing it, and then I would sing it back to her, and so it felt very collaborative, and that was really massive for me after coming out of 4 years of conservatory training, which I loved and has served me so deeply, but I came out of there very sort of rigid and like rulesy, and you sit up straight and you learn your music, and it's all very measured, and I think it was very impactful for me to be in a room that felt like, all right, now we're all together creating this thing. You're
Get
a part
messy.
of this. It was very, very cool. But yeah, what was the second question?
The second question is, are there any emerging writers that are on your radar right now that you want to sort of bring to the attention of a greater audience?
Sure. I mean, he's people are starting to know now, but Michael Living Jackson is one. He is that's how he calls himself, Living, for obvious reasons. He's a really, really incredible composer. I believe, where is it happening? Is it P73? I don't want to be wrong, but he's amazing. His lyrics they will shake you to your core, and he's got some beautiful stuff brewing. I'm sure I'll regret not mentioning somebody else too, but I mean.
Well, this is a good time to remind people they can follow you on social media.
Yeah.
Instagram is one Rebecca Jones.
Yes, ONEREBECCAJONES.
And Twitter is Rebecca's her name.
Yes.
Rebecca SER.
Yes, no H, because that's how it was in American Idiot. It was what's her name?
Yeah.
With no H.
Which I love. So if you do think of additional people you wish you'd mentioned, then you can mention them there, and
Totally.
we'll see them there. We're getting ready to wrap up. But I want to ask you for two more related questions, and they're actually related to what you were just talking about too. I think the entire season at the public right now is dedicated to the memory of Michael Friedman. So I'd love for you to share a memory of Michael with us, and then give maybe a story of working with the creative team on Fire in Dreamland, and we'll close it out with a little talk about the show you're doing now.
Okay. Michael, oh gosh, I don't know if I could even come up with just one memory of Michael, but he, what I loved about that man was like everyone who knew him knows that he was always the smartest person in the room, but never, ever made anyone feel like they were less than or like they were an idiot around him, even though he knew so much more than any of us. And that knowledge that he had inside of him just made him more of a wonderful, loving person. And what I loved so much about him was that he cared so much about the work he was doing and about telling stories that we could all get on board with and learn something from. He really was thinking about everyone when he was writing and trying to do the right thing with his writing. And what was so cool about him is that he was so on fire about the work that he would leave a room in a huff so often. I mean, he would just get so worked up about things in the creative process that he would just leave a room and be gone for hours and then come back and, be a sweet little baby. But he was complicated and a genius and an artist in a lot of the same ways that Stu is, and he was very, very special. And I also just loved about him that he didn't BS you. He really he was honest, and so that meant he would tell you if and you need to work on your banter in your solo show, or he would be like, one day he was like, your singing voice is really, you're coming into your own now that you're in your 30s. And I remember thinking like, oh, like gosh, what was it before? But it's like hearing something positive from him. You really knew he was paying attention and that he meant it. And it's very strange and sad and powerful to be back in this building without him. But also Rinne, our playwright, was good friends with him, and she has said a couple of times that she thinks about him watching me in this play and how proud he would be. And yeah, and it's also very special because Kyle Beltran is in the play with me, who starred in Fortress, and so it's very special for us to be here together, and we're also weirdly in the same two dressing rooms we were in when we were doing Fortress of Solitude, so it's very, very weird and special. But our rehearsal process for Fire in Dreamland was delicious.
What a great adjective.
It was delicious. I mean, I do have to say I have been lucky to work with so many wonderful directors, mostly male, wonderful directors and humans. But there is something very special about having just been in a process with a female playwright and a female director, both of whom are very, very generous in a room and make you feel welcome, and that your artistic contributions are welcome and important. And Marissa, our director, has a really beautiful ability to command a room and know what she wants and be on task, but also have room for people to be where they are. And that's very special. And Rinne is incredible. I was so impressed with her that throughout our preview process, which was terrifyingly long, that she really used it. She spent those rehearsal days cutting and changing and editing, and almost every day for a couple of weeks we were coming in with cuts and changes, and it made the play better. And so I thought it was very beautiful that she had written this play that was obviously very special to her and deep to her, but she was not afraid of hacking away at it to get it to be the best version that it could be for what we have, to present. So I thought that was very inspiring.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's such a great piece. I wore my Coney Island mermaid shirt on purpose. You have some incredible costumes that people will have to come to the show to see. But the mermaid here is not nearly as sparkly as the mermaid illusions that are made on the stage.
It's true.
And really, I could not be more excited that two of my favorite things about New York City are combined: the Public Theater and Coney Island, with some incredible performances and a beautiful, almost lyrical script by Rinne Groff. Rebecca Naomi Jones, thank you so much for being here with me live at the library.
Thank you. This was
fun.
And
we'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
Everyone come see Fire in Dreamland.